What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we got what they call a stability fix for Modern Warfare 3 that was designed to take care of several of the issues that popped up with Season 3 Reloaded. And let's just dive right into this, keeping in mind we're just focusing on the multiplayer side of things. And we're going to start off with the patch notes. However, there were some other fixes that weren't mentioned in the patch notes that I want to get into toward the end of the video. The first thing they mentioned is they addressed a crash that would occur upon challenge completion. And I know many people were experiencing this. I personally didn't experience it at all, but many people were having an issue where they would complete a camo challenge, for instance, and the moment they did that, it would just crash their game entirely. Apparently, with this update, that should be fixed now, but please let me know if you're still having this issue after completing a challenge. Then there were just various UI fixes, so like hardcore quick play would display as free trial when it wasn't actually a free trial. Also, the weekly challenge countdown timer wasn't working properly, and there were overlapping weapon images on the heads-up display when two melee weapons were equipped. Then when it comes to progression, they mentioned the max weapon level prerequisite for the weapon prestige camos. It's now working consistently as intended. I don't know exactly what was going on there. Perhaps you could start grinding this before reaching max level on a gun, and I believe you have to reach that max level first before you can start working on this. Also, challenges that involve as stim shots, they no longer require at least 50% regain to progress. So even if you just take a little bit of damage and use a stim, it will still count. And then finally for progression, for those players that have previously unlocked the binary morality event camo, they'll once again be able to equip it. Apparently that was just not working properly before this update. Next up, we have one map fix. This is on Skid Grow, so not Skid Row, but Skid Grow. Apparently before this update, there was a method of getting on a rooftop, and that was unintended, so they have fixed that. Then when it comes to the new escort mode, they resolved a few issues. The first thing is poor performance or a lack of functionality upon joining a match. That's something I personally didn't experience, but maybe that only applies if you're joining mid-match or something. Next, the lights on the MAW, that thing that you're escorting, they will no longer appear to detach as the match progresses. They also implemented various fixes for the match timer inconsistencies, and then finally they made it so care package crates will be destroyed if the MAW runs into those care packages. Now, after that, one of the big fixes, especially for Warzone players, but also for multiplayer players, anybody that uses the auto tac sprint setting, they have fixed the commando gloves so reloads will no longer be canceled upon any sort of movement when using that automatic tactical sprint setting. And also with reloading, another thing that was fixed that they didn't mention in the patch notes here is the prioritize interact setting. Previously, after the Season 3 Reloaded update, if you had this setting enabled, you literally couldn't reload. It looks like they did take care of that as well. Then for equipment, in hardcore game modes, the minimap is now displayed on the heads-up display when the EMD tracking device is active on an enemy. So even if you don't have a UAV up, if you hit them with an EMD, you will now get a minimap for as long as that EMD is active. And then finally, in the patch notes for the multiplayer side of things, for ranked play, they said that they restricted the Scratch 20L suppressor, the EMD mine, and the enhanced vision goggles. However, looking at it right now, at least at the time of recording this video, all of these are still available to be used in ranked play. So for some reason, that one didn't actually go through. I'm sure they'll get on top of this at some point in the hopefully not too distant future, since those items shouldn't be available in ranked play. But as of recording this video, those are all still available to be used. And that wraps it up for all of these stated changes in the patch notes, but like I said, some other things got fixed that they didn't mention here, and these are very important things. So far, based on what I've noticed after playing just a couple matches after this update to see how things are feeling, it appears they've resolved the animation issues that have been taking place since the Season 3 Reloaded update. So just a couple examples of these. With the Renetti with the carbine kit, a lot of times if you were aiming down sight and firing, it would actually offset your gun to the left-hand side of the screen, and the reload would cover your entire screen. Also with pistols, if you're using the quick draw attachment, a lot of the times your hand would overlay on top of your primary weapon when pulling out your pistol, and that was really jarring and frustrating to deal with. I haven't been able to make that happen after this update. And then another thing, this is not a comprehensive list of all the issues, but just another example of these issues that I tested, is with the SVA 545. After the Season 3 Reloaded update, the audio would not be keeping up with the hyperburst. So those first two shots that you fired, it wouldn't sound like you were firing those two shots really, really quickly together. Even though you technically were, your ammo count would go down in the same way that it should. It's just the audio wasn't keeping up. As far as I can tell, that has been fixed as well. And I suspect this should be taking care of all of the other audio desync issues that we've been experiencing throughout Season 3 Reloaded. Of course, I can't say that with 100% confidence because those issues would pop up intermittently. So some games that issue was present, other games it wasn't. So this is where I'm curious to hear from you guys down below as well. For those of you guys that have been playing since the update this morning, have you noticed any of these animation or sound desync issues persist after this update? Or does it appear they've actually been fixed completely? At least based on what I've been seeing so far, these particular issues have been fixed, and this is great news because those were really frustrating to deal with. It's just so annoying having things not working the way that they should be working. And while it was often just animation or sound that was desynced, and the actual gameplay itself was still running okay in that sense, it's difficult to manage your gameplay when your audio and animations aren't keeping up with what's going on around you. Now, one last thing I wanted to tag on to the end of this video is just something that they mentioned was fixed with the Season 3 Reloaded update, and it turns out it wasn't actually fixed, and it's still not fixed even after this morning's update. This is with the JAK Jawbreaker kit on the KV Broadside. They mentioned that the muzzle attachment should be working properly, and unfortunately, that's still not the case in my experience. It'll work just fine in the firing range, but it won't actually work if you're in a real game or even in a custom game. Your muzzle attachments will not be working still on the JAK Jawbreaker, so I just wanted to bring some attention to that, just in case the developers aren't aware that that didn't in fact get fixed, and it's still an issue that needs to be resolved. And with that, that is gonna wrap it up today's video. Just a quick update on the situation here. Another thing I can't really touch on just because I don't have enough gameplay time yet after this update is connection quality. I'm not too sure if this has improved at all. I know a lot of people are experiencing a lot of skipping and stuttering and packet loss and high pings. So far in the couple games that I played, my ping has been quite high, but I wasn't noticing as much stuttering and packet loss as before this update. So perhaps they improved that area at least to a degree, but it doesn't seem like they've completely resolved that. And this is another one of those areas where I'm just curious to hear what your experience has been so far after this update. Have you noticed any improvements whatsoever with the connection quality, or is it still just as bad as it's been since the Season 3 Reloaded update? If you guys enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.